After retirement, most people resolve to stay home or embark on adventures they had saved up for. For Mick Svinos, he decided to use the experience he got from serving in British Army to set up a business.
And the reason I came to Kenya, I was in the British Army before, up in Nanyuki, and I finished my army career here, and I sort of fell in love with the place. So it seemed obvious for me maybe to try and find something to come back to Kenya. And very fortunately, I was able to get an exclusive. I was very lucky to secure it last year. So that enabled me to come back and obviously set the company up, supplying these security barriers.
Unlike most entrepreneurs who face a challenge in accessing and accumulating capital to finance their business dreams, he prepared well by adequately saving for his retirement venture.
I suppose lends myself to doing this type of business is obviously because of my background. I was a sort of what you'd call an expeditionary infrastructure engineer in the military. So designing main entry points, designing physical barriers or barriers to go around buildings is really what I did for many years. When you start a new business up, obviously there's a lot of capital to put in. And when you see your own bank accounts just being depleted and keep going down because you've got to, dig deep and get the reserves.
Armed with 10 million shillings, the Briton picked Kenya as one of his bases for his security firm, Sentinel Group. We inquired what made him set his sights on Kenya for his business.
When I compare it to the UK, to try and start a business there, it's incredibly challenging because everything's been done. To try and find a niche market there would be almost impossible, to be honest. But I think in Kenya and in East Africa in general, there's so many more opportunities here to grow. The economies are growing. The Kenyan people are fantastic and very hard working. So for me, it was like the obvious choice to come to try and set a business up and see how we go.
Although little is known about his farm in Kenya, despite the farm having sister companies in 31 countries, he is optimistic that the future is bright for the local company. He may have had the capital to start the business, but that didn't mean it made business easy, as he explains.
Obviously, the financial side of setting up a business is a huge challenge, and you've got to have quite deep pockets, I think, at least for the first 6 months, maybe a year, because your banks, in the UK, our interest rates are very low. The interest rates here to get a loan are so high, it'd be very difficult to borrow money from a bank.
In parting, Mick Svinos, the managing director of Sentinel Group, shares life lessons with would-be entrepreneurs.
Know that you've got a good idea. I think it's very clear that often businesses fail because somebody hasn't done their research first. Because if you're going to start putting money into an idea, then it turns from an idea into, a serious concept and even a reality. And if it's a bad idea, you are going to unfortunately lose the lot. So just be careful on the idea you have. And there's also a lot of people out there who would probably invest in a good idea, So it's not always a case of finding huge sums of money. It could be about just finding the right people that perhaps, might be able to share your idea with, who would actually provide some funding to go forward.
The company has branches in Nanyuki as well as Nairobi and plans to soon expand to Mombasa. Caroline Jinga reporting for BizHub.